Hey guys, welcome back. This week we're going to cover everyone's favorite subject, scales. I figured it'd be important to learn a little bit of theory before we move forward. It's kind of one of those things that keeps coming back over and over again, and as you move further, you're going to really be grateful for this base. So this might be rudimentary for some of you, but I think it's really important to make sure that we're all on the same page as far as scale construction goes. And this will actually segue right into the next lesson that I'm going to post immediately after this one, which is chord construction. Just so we all have this basic knowledge, and then when we move forward and discuss things and songs, we all have the same background and context for that. So I feel like the best starting point for that would be the basic major scale. And no better point than C major, which has no sharps and no flats. So it's a great place to start discussing chords and scales because it's very straightforward, straight through the alphabet. So C major and major scales in general are constructed by using the formula whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. And so what I mean by that is you can do this starting on any note, but we'll start with C. So your first note is C, then you'll go whole, step up to D, whole step up to E, half step up to F, whole step up to G, whole step up to A, whole step up to B, and finally a half step to end it back on C. So you can use that same pattern once you know that formula for any scale, starting on any note that you want to construct a major scale off of. So for example, F major, do your whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half formula, and you have your... with that, or you can do it with G, wherever you want to move it. So there are two basic shapes I want to show you with this major scale. One is a 2-octave run, starting on the A string, putting your root note there, and one is a 2-octave run, putting your root note on the E string. And there are a lot of other places on the neck you can move these, but I think this is a great starting point. One thing I like to do as I'm learning these scales is to say out loud to myself where the root note is when I hit it within the scale. Just being mindful of where that is will help you as you move forward to just keep track of where your intervals are on the neck. So you should be able to, at a certain point, ideally pick out all the C's all over the guitar neck, and from there you can always figure out where you're going using the interval construction that we talked about. So the first pattern, we'll use our second finger on the A string on a root note C, pinky on the 5th fret, D, moving up to the D string, we'll play an E with our first finger on the 2nd fret, play an F with our second finger on the 3rd fret, a G with our pinky on the 5th fret, an A with our first finger on the G string, B with our 3rd finger on the 4th fret of the G string, pinky on the 5th fret of the G string for a C. There's our root note again. We keep moving. Use your first finger, 3rd fret on the B string, 3rd finger, 5th fret on the B string for an E note, pinky on the 6th fret of the B string for an F, first finger, 3rd fret of the E string for a G, 3rd finger, 5th fret on an A, pinky is kind of a stretch, but you want to hit the 7th fret on the E string for a B, and then this is where it's a little weird. We're going to slide our entire hand up and use that same pinky to hit your root note again for your 2nd octave on the 8th fret of the E string. So now we've made it all the way up. Coming back down, we're going to use our 3rd finger on the 7th fret here, first finger on the 5th fret, and now on our way back down, we're going to slide this first finger down to the G right there. And so the slide happens with our first finger instead of our pinky this time. And then it's just back down the same way we came up after that. the entire thing slowly so you can see the shift. And more quickly, root note, root, 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 root. So there you have it. That is the A string shape for the major scale in C. Now let's move to the major scale shape using our root note on the E string. So this, we're going to use our second finger on the 8th fret of the E string, pinky on the 10th fret. Moving up to the next string, we're going to use our first finger on the 7th fret, second finger on the 8th fret, pinky on the 10th fret, first finger on the 7th fret, third finger, this is on the D string now, on the 9th fret, pinky on the 10th fret, moving up to the G string, first finger on the 7th fret, third finger on the 9th fret, pinky on the 10th fret, middle finger on the 8th fret of the next string on your B string, pinky on the 10th fret, moving up to the E string next, first finger on the 7th fret, and then finally our root note using our second finger on the 8th fret of the E string. And then we come back down the exact same way. So calling out your root notes, root, 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 back down. And if you watch my right hand, you want to make sure you're alternating picking that entire time, so you can keep that nice smooth motion. So there you have it. Those are the two major scale shapes that I would start with using your root note on the A string and E string. So now we're going to move on to our minor scale, still using C as our root note. And the formula for that is whole, half, whole, whole, half, whole, whole. So to slow that down, for one octave, we'll have a C, go up a whole step to D, half step to E flat, whole step to F, whole step to G, half step to A flat, whole step to B flat, and finally a whole step to C. So to do the 2-octave run with our root note on the A string, we're going to do 3rd fret on the A string for your C. 3rd finger on the 5th fret, pinky on the 6th fret, first finger on the 3rd fret of the D string, ring finger on the 5th fret, pinky on the 6th fret, first finger, 3rd fret on the G string, 3rd finger on the 5th fret, first finger on the 3rd fret of the B string, 2nd finger on the 4th fret of the B string, pinky on the 6th fret, first finger on the 3rd fret of the E string, 2nd finger on the 4th fret of the E string, pinky on the 6th fret of the E string, and then here comes that same shift that we had to do last time. We'll use our pinky to shift, hit our root note on the 8th fret, come back down, use our first finger again to shift back down into our original position, So that whole thing slowly with the shift, so you can see that. There you go. And doing it a little faster and calling out your root notes. Root note. Root note. Root note. Root note. Root. So now we'll do our C minor scale using our root note on the E string. So starting on the 8th fret of the E string, we'll have our C there, ring finger on 10, pinky on 11, moving on to the A string, first finger on the 8th fret, ring on 10, pinky on 11, moving to the D string, 8th fret, ring finger on 10, moving to the G string, first finger on 7, second finger on 8, pinky on 10, moving to the B string, first finger on 8, middle finger on 9, pinky on 11, and then we'll resolve by hitting the 8th fret of the E string to get our second octave, or third octave C. So back down, it's the whole thing, calling out your root notes. Root, 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 root note. So there you have it. Those are the basic shapes I wanted to introduce you to. One more thing before the lesson concludes is that I think it's important to keep in mind that each of these intervals has a numerical assignment that we'll keep coming back to as we build chords and the chords get more complicated and you start soloing. And it's just in order relative to the notes. So C is 1, D is 2, E is 3, F is 4, G is 5, A is 6, B is 7, and then C is 1 again. So keep that in mind, and that applies to any scale. So in our minor scale, C is 1, D is 2, E flat is 3, F is 4, G is 5, A flat is 6, B flat is 7, C is 1. So I'll leave it there for now, and in the next video, we'll go over how to build chords based off of these scales. Cool, so keep that all in mind, and we'll see you in the next lesson.